Hey everybody, welcome back to the vlog. Well, today I'm doing jailhouse stuff, fights. Um, and the reason that I got the idea to do this is because last Friday we started working on the screenplay for the new movie Pop Without a Badge. I met with Rob Port and he picked my brains, and now I'm thinking of things when I was younger. In the movie, they're going to be doing a great deal of spending a great deal of screen time on introducing me to the audience. My whole backstory, he's working on it right now. I spent 2 hours with him, so it got me thinking of that time in my life when I went to prison, and then the thought of all the fights and that. So I had some fights that they were wild. They were wild, just like the one that I just did, and now this one, and I got maybe two more. So this is going to be a video that is unbelievable because it actually caused a correction officer to resign. And no, I didn't hit him. Let me tell the story. Okay, so when I got to Kaksaki Correctional Facility, which is a minimum, is it medium? It's a medium correction. What do you call it? Medium security prison. You have low security, minimum security, medium, and maximum. So I wound up going there. I could have went to the other place, but I escaped, and I was classified as an escapee. Every page, every part of my record had escapee on it, right? So anyway, I get to Katsaki right away, and I have a problem with a Puerto Rican. Now, most of the white kids, and this prison was only for 16 to 20 years old. It was a rehabilitate. It was a, what do you call it? A uh, I forget what the damn name is. It when you go to learn a trade, they had a bunch of shops, huh?
Trade school?
It was like a trade school type of a prison where you could learn a skill. Okay, so they sent me there, and most of the white guys that was in that prison, just about all of them, were from Schenectady, Albany, like and the New York City um, inmates, especially the Puerto Ricans, would prey on those guys. And I come in there, blonde hair, blue eyed, and they just thought I was from Schenectady. I was from the South Bronx. I guess they didn't hear my accent. Did I have an accent when I was 20? I don't remember. But this one guy screwed with me in the yard, right? And he said something. And I went, "Fuck you," and he threw a punch, and he hit me, and it was like a girl. It was like a girl, and he threw a punch. He threw it, and boom. It was like I'm Irish, and we have Irishmen have thick heads, and we love to fight. We love to fight. So I pummeled him. I pummeled him, and not only did I pummel him, I'll tell you that thing. The yards are like set up, like for the Puerto Ricans have their own handball court, the blacks have theirs, the white has theirs, and the gay guys they don't have a court. They're in the middle. They have to walk around. So I was on his handball court. I beat the shit out of him on his handball court. That pissed off. First of all, they couldn't believe it, how I pummeled him. And I never really used that word, but I pummeled him. He was covering up. I was throwing shots through his block. I would fucking fuck his face up. And then walked away. No CO saw it. It happened so fast, nobody saw it. But boy, those Puerto Ricans didn't forget that. So now we're in the movie theater. Now, this is Kaksaki. The inmates, as I said before, from 16 to 20 years old. And they're all trying to prove something. All these so-called gangsters in training are all trying to prove something, right? So Let me tell you about this officer. So they had this brand new officer that just graduated the academy. He was on probation. I spoke to the guy. He was a nice kid. He looked younger than the 16-year-old inmates he was guarding. He had a baby face. He was 5'6", 130 pounds. What the hell did you? And I even asked him one day. I said, hey, because the inmates were teasing him. He'd walk by and they yelled all kinds of shit at him and call him Boy Scout. He looked like a little Boy Scout, like with this kid. But he liked me. I felt sorry for the guy. I said, "What do jobs are hard to get, and this is a good job." And I think it paid like 19,000 a year back then. It was a shit job. It was a shithole. You doing? I told him you're in here just like I am for 8 hours, 9 hours a day. So anyway, that's who the guy was. So now these Puerto Ricans were just like they were just like they had this one Puerto Rican from Brooklyn. He was like 5'6", but he would work out in the yard. He was pumped up. He was a little buff guy, and he thought who the he was. And he didn't speak English that good. He hardly spoke any English. So once a month, the facility would take us to the movie theater, and they had a real movie theater, and they got late. They had fairly new movies that they would show every month. Once a month, you got to go to the movies, and it was a big movie theater, and it had 3 rows in it. Row, what do you call it? Aisle, the aisle, the next one, and then the next one. I was all the way to the right. I had an aisle seat, and so did that Puerto Rican behind me, Mr. Flip Flops. He used to wear sandals, like out here in California. Men wear sandals. I don't want to tell you what I think that is, but that's not right. So I'm watching the movie, not 5 minutes into it. Now, there are correction officers placed in throughout the movie theaters. They take a seat. So that little guy was about 3 rows behind me and to the left in the center thing. He was sitting there. He saw the whole thing. So I'm sitting down and I'm watching the Mad, Mad, Mad World, which is a comedy. You should Google it. It had every movie star in the world in it. It was really a funny movie. And when you're in the shithole, this is a big thing for us to see the movie every month. So I have my left arm on the armrest, boom, and I move it for whatever reason. And the second I did, this prick behind me, who's now slouched in the chair with his ass hanging off the tip of the back of the bottom of the seat, and he put his leg up on my armrest with his naked foot with his slippers or whatever the fuck he had there. And he put it right there. And I went, hey, boom, and I knocked his feet off. The little correction officer saw the whole thing. I knocked the guy's foot off, and I turned around and said, hey, don't put your feet up. And he was so relaxed. Like, they all think that the white guys were a bunch of punks, and maybe the ones upstate they were intimidated by people from New York City. But I'm from the Bronx. I'm from the South Bronx. I'm not one of those yokels, the Schenectady guys. I'm from the Bronx, but dumbass didn't know it. So he just like sitting, and he went like that. He threw the punch, and I seen it coming, and I went like this. Now I stand up, turn around, and he still kicked back in his chair, and I pummeled him too. He couldn't get out of the chair. He couldn't fight. He couldn't do shit but stay there and be my bitch. I was hitting him with bang, and with every punch I hit him, I'm going to fuck. Now I'm going to the Bing. Now I'm going back to Keep Lock. Fucking, and it's a Friday, and I don't get to see the adjustment committee until Monday. You fucker. And I'm just wailing on him. Didn't throw a punch. As I'm in this fucking rage, the little guy, correction officer, grabs me by my neck from behind. Maybe I was on the side of the aisle. He grabbed me from behind, and I threw him. I threw him off thinking it was one of the Puerto Ricans. They were pissed off. So I throw him. I go, Oh shit! So now I go for the correction officer. He's pummeled in the seat. He just did not. I gave him two black eyes. He had a fat lip, nose. He was bleeding from all over the place. And I go to get. Hey, listen, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know. And the next thing I know, this big ass real CO comes rolling. All he saw was that guy on the ground and me on it. And he hits me like a fucking linebacker. I went about 10 rows down. Boom! And I was like, oh. Next thing you know, I'm locked up. And then they used to carry sticks, like nightsticks, like the old cops from New York City. They had a nightstick with a leather strap on it. They used to flip it. And anyway, so I get beat the fuck up. Monday, we go to the adjustment committee. That correction officer wrote up the report. It's like a ticket. And then he quit. We never seen him after that. After that, poor guy quit. Poor guy quit, but he wrote it up. And he said that the other guy was the aggressor. The other guy he threw a punch at me. And that I didn't mean to throw him off me. He was just a nice kid. Good people. He was just a good kid. He had no business being a correctional officer. So we go to the adjustment committee, and boy, they don't like it when you have a fight in the movie theater. Why? Because the lights are out. They can't see. It must have taken them like a minute before they shut the movie off and put the lights on, right? And that's a bad place to have a fight. That and the mess hall. That's because there's spoons and knives and shit. So anyway, I knew I was going to get in trouble for where the fight took place. But with that report, they had this big sergeant. I forget what his name was. He was cool. He was cool. And you know, the staff back then was really trying to rehabilitate kids back then. Don't forget, this is 16 to 20 years old. At that time, I was 18. So go to the adjustment committee, and they found me not to be the aggressor, him, and they gave him 90 days keep lock assigned to A3. He was deaf. 90 days. And what did they give me? Time served. I got my shit, went right back to my cell. Like nothing ever happened. But boy, those Puerto Ricans didn't forget that story. Oh no. And wait till I tell. So we're doing research. So I told my daughter, look up Kaksaki, and we got an actual picture. So you guys are going to be able to see this picture of what happened when the next Puerto Rican came after me and what happened then. So please like and subscribe. Get a copy of my book. This story is in the book. If you'd rather read it than have me tell you what, I don't know. I come very animated. So please like and subscribe. Pick up a copy of the book. And bada bing, bada boom. I'll see you on the next one.